Well, hello, welcome. And I usually start by saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know what time zone you're in or where you're watching from, but I want to really say, those of you that are on today, you are in for a very, very, very special treat for a number of reasons. One is I'm on with one of the sharpest marketers that I've run across in a long time and in the GKIC ecosystem. But most importantly, one of the nicest guys in our ecosystem, that's for sure. Every time I interview or just talk to Ben and people in his staff, I just walk away saying, if I ever had a legal problem, they would be the ones that I would want to represent them. And I think that says a lot for you, Ben, and the culture that you've created in your office and the people that you hire. But we're going to talk about all things marketing in your magnetic marketing journey. But to do you a solid and to really give I normally don't read the full explanation that they give. I normally kind of ad lib it, but yours is so good and you have such a great backstory that I want to read it all. So allow me that. So for over a decade, Ben Glass has been teaching hundreds of solo and small firm lawyers around the globe how to market ethically and effectively using educational-based direct response style marketing. It all started with the purchase of Dan Kennedy's Magnetic Marketing on cassette tape over 20 years ago from Nightingale Conant, right? I watched your video. You talked about that. And today, Ben is considered by many to be the top legal marketing guru in the country. He has over 200 to 300 people at his annual event. I mean, that's a pretty good size event. That's a very large event. So that's impressive. Ben continues to practice law, so he's a doer as well as a teacher, and his own personal injury, medical malpractice, and long-term disability firm near Washington, D.C. Ben is the author of 14 books and has gained national recognition for his ability to take marketing ideas that are working in other industries, right? So swipe and deploy legally and ethically. We're going to add that, swipe and deploy from others and bring them in to the legal field. But most importantly, and this is really where the story gets good, Ben is the father of 9 children. I didn't stutter. It's 9 children, 4 adopted from China. He's an avid athlete, business advocate, and soccer referee. Ben serves on the board of Love Without Borders, which provides healing homes and needed surgeries for orphans in impoverished countries, and he has run 5 Marine Corps marathons on their behalf. Above all, Ben believes in the success of the solo and small firm attorney and in the power of education-based direct response marketing. Ben, you're a great guy, great father, great person, great marketer, all there, all true, and a really genuine guy. So it's a great
awesome.
to have you on.
Thank you for that. I mean, at the end of the day, we created a new video that we were talking about before we went live. And if you want to look at that on our website, you'll see, feel like born to inspire. And so, I mean, I happen to practice law. I'm good at it. I enjoy it. But I also, give me a small business owner in my office and we'll do what we're doing here for an hour. And I really like talking to people who actually go and take action and do something with what we teach. So I'm very fortunate and blessed. Blessed to have found magnetic marketing in Dan all these years ago. And here we are and ready to help. Sure.
Well, glad to have you. And so let's just get down to it. And so just so everybody knows that's on, Ben and I were talking, and I said, I don't hold anything back because that's who you are and that's the way that you play. So we're going to try to squeeze as much as we possibly can in here and provide as much content as we possibly can. Obviously, we want to talk about your journey with magnetic marketing. So let's start there.
Yeah. So, and some have heard this story before, but I at practice, got out of law school in 1983, practiced in a firm, as many young lawyers do with other folks, made partner there. Was there about 12 years. That commute was long. If you're Chicago and DC, right, awful places. I was growing my family and got that entrepreneurial seizure. Michael Gerber talks about and said, well, gee, I'm a pretty good lawyer. How hard could it be to run your own practice? I wanted to be closer. I was coaching 3 soccer teams. And so I did. I just basically, on a very short sort of decision time frame, as oftentimes happens, left and started in the same weekend. And took cases with me and had one assistant, and we didn't work real hard on Fridays because we didn't have enough work to do. And soon found out that I was good at lawyering, but I didn't know how to get clients. And I think I told you once before when we talked, Yellow Page rep, the week I left to start my own firm, it was time to buy Yellow Page ads. And so we carved out my dollar bill size ad that said, we care for you and we're awesome and we do free consultations and all that stuff. And one day I was and still am a huge fan of the success literature. I read 50 or 60 or 70 books a year still, and got I think it was a sales letter from Nightingale Conant, and it's a $300 product, which I had never spent $300 on like anything in my life, educational wise, except college. And it was for this thing called magnetic marketing, and it promised to have a long line of people waiting for you. And I said, well, I'll get it. And it had a guarantee return policy. And so I can remember this thing came in a box. And for those of you who are old timers in the GKIC world like I am, you will remember this, that it was 3-ring binder. It was kind of photocopied, no disrespect to anything in the past, but the pages weren't even aligned. There was stuff that was in. And I looked at it and said, well, I kind of glanced at it. I'm returning this baby. But I'll be fair. I'm not gonna photocopy it and return. I'm just gonna get rid of it. But I had these cassette tapes, and we went to look, but I couldn't find any cassette tapes. And put them in the car and listen to them once, and it was really interesting. Dan's telling the stories that are, I think, still in the magnetic marketing product about the guy who comes, the plumber who comes that fixes thing at the house, and the fire that catches in Dan's house in Arizona. And I can tell you these stories almost verbatim, the Giorgio 3-step letter. Well, that's pretty interesting. So I listened to them again. I listened to them 3 times. And then I went back to the manual and really dug into it. And I thought, this is my introduction to Dan. And I thought, I didn't understand half of what he was talking about. We don't talk in law school about lead generation.
Sure.
We don't talk about joint ventures. I mean, we don't talk about anything about torts and contracts, right? And I said, this is interesting. It looks doable. It looks simple. And if I could figure this out, it could revolutionize my life. So I started. And one of the very first things Dan said was, you got to figure out what everyone else in your marketplace, what messages are they saying into the market? So I went to the library, regional library. They had shelves of Yellow Pages.
Okay.
I sat down with a pad and I went through every Yellow Page book and wrote down sort of the headline, the tagline, the message of all the lawyer ads, and discovered that Dan was right. They all say the same thing. And I did a widget. He's talking about lead generation widget. I didn't even know what that was. So the only thing I could think of was let's just create something that helps explain the personal injury car accident process. So at least when somebody calls, my assistant could say, oh, hey, did you know Ben wrote this cool piece on the process? Could we send it to you? Name capture, phone capture. And we did. And one day I walked through the woods, dictated kind of the speech I would give you if you were in my office, Nick, and had it transcribed. And that was it. And every time we needed one, we pushed the button on the printer and printed one out and stapled the sucker. Later, I found at a seminar, I found a kind of a binding service. And so I put it in a binding and called it a book. And that's how it started. And we still, at some of the seminars I do, I show some of these early pieces to make the point that you don't have to be beautiful. We'll talk. I brought some of my lead generation pieces here today, and they're beautiful, but you don't have to start there. But you need to start just thinking completely differently. So that was a journey. I joined Dan at the silver level, which I think was something like $10 a month. And now I know that I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years with you and Dan. And it's every time I go, even though when I go to see Dan now, I've heard many of the stories. I could sing the tune, right, the whole song. But there's always one more thing to pick up. So that's just a shout out to Dan. But magnetic marketing changed the trajectory of my life. I figured it out. I went searching to see if anyone had done this in the lawyer world. They really hadn't. And 5 or 6 years after using it in the practice, talking to Dan and to Bill Glazer, we brought this really Ben's version of direct response marketing, Dan Kennedy style marketing, to the lawyer market. And it's been wonderful.
And I want to touch about a a little bit about that, about the importance of kind of what I call the GKIC business model, which is become a really good practitioner of the business, a doer of the business, and then become a teacher of the business, of teaching people how you did what you did. But the first thing that I want to say, just from your introductory story, is you did your first, what we'll call widget, right? You didn't understand what a widget was. So what your first lead gen piece really was a conversation, right? You just dictated, if you and I were sitting across from each other and I was ready to engage you, the story that you would say or how you would present it, and that's kind of how you dictated it. So it wasn't, I mean,
it was not any more than that. And today, even today, it's barely more. It looks a lot nicer.
Sure.
But really is, and that's a really important point, Nick, is in whatever business people are in, the tendency is to talk the lingo of your business. I'll give you an example. We're looking for new space. We're bringing all our operations under one roof in early next year, 2018. And the young kiddo I'm working with keeps using terms in the leasing industry. I'm like, what are you talking? I don't even understand what you just said.
Sure.
And so as you create this for your business, you want to put yourself really in the shoes of your patient, customer, or client and use language that they're using and kind of figure out what the problem is, not from my end, the lawyer end, but from their end.
Right.
And that's when you get that right, I guarantee you that you're in the top 1% of marketers in your industry. Because most people are just using advertising.
Did you, and you may not be able to recall, did you have a picture in your mind of the person while you were dictating through the woods?
Oh, yeah. Because, and this was a difference between me and some of the products that were out there at the time, is that they were created by non-lawyers.
Right.
Well, I'm having these conversations with you, Nick, in my conference room. I'm answering your questions. I understand your fears. I know what you don't know, but what you really should know. We call those the should ask questions, not just the frequently asked questions. And so absolutely. And I also knew the kind of client I wanted to attract. So that's another important point you just made there, is that in our world, there's lawyers and there's clients who will get all excited about a low-end minor injury case and try to gin it up. And I just probably pissed off a lot of lawyers, but it's true. And those aren't my clients. So I wanted to attract people who would see me as respected authority and take my advice. So no matter what your business is, you probably have customers. We'll just use that word, customers, who view you as a commodity. Well, somebody's got the customers that viewing their salesperson or their business owner as a superhero expert. Well, why not position yourself as a superhero expert? So that's another thing. As you're writing these things, you want the customer to just come to the conclusion in their own mind. Oh, Ben Glass, he's smart about this. Well, look at all the info he's given away.
So, and it was unheard of, except for their students of Dan, for anybody to be doing what you're doing. And so, it was kind of radical that, call in, get a report, let me send this out to you. And did you have other people that maybe peers or colleagues push back on why you're doing that?
Well, I mean, yeah. So when you talk if I get invited to speak at a general lawyer conference, they say, hey, Ben, come talk about marketing. Many of them still think I'm crazy.
Okay.
Why would you do all that work? It's multi-step. It costs money. And I'm so busy kind of doing stuff, I don't have the time to implement these systems. And my response has always been, and this works really well for my practice. You, in the intro, you could tell I'm a pretty busy guy. My plate is pretty full up. So I did not want to practice that had 1,000 clients, all valued at $2,500 a case. Some lawyers do, and it's perfect for them. So I'm not critical of that. If it's perfect for them, great. I wanted fewer clients, bigger cases. And I wanted clients who would listen to me, which is another sort of bane of lawyers. They'll tell you they hate, the practice is great, but they hate the clients. We like our clients because our stuff they self-select out, or we fire them. different seminar. So now I even forget what question I was answering, but I guess what I'm showing you is the power of magnetic marketing and creating lead generation widgets and developing a system is not just that you go out and attract. I now remember the question, but that you attract more people, true, but you can choose the life you want to lead by choosing who you want to see walking through your door. I mean, somebody in your market is serving that high-end marketplace. Someone is already serving the clients you want. Why not you? So the answer was, yeah, I get pushback, and I get frustrated. Speaking at a general legal event, it's very hard to get someone to move to do anything, which is why I run my own events, because now I attract people. So I attracted at the beginning other people who had followed Dan, recognized, oh, this is pretty cool. Some had started using these types of lead gen magnets in their practice, but not very many, like maybe 10 people, right? Because Dan, he loved lawyers 20 years ago. Actually, I'll tell you something funny. So it used to be you could measure the mean time in a conference where Dan would say something about a lawyer, and it would be about 32 seconds.
Okay, right.
Now he goes pretty long. He can go pretty long before he says something mean about a lawyer. So I've changed the way he thinks, and a couple other guys and gals that he's worked with over the years.
It's funny. Yeah, because if I'm like you, I found my way as a member, as a student, as a practitioner of it, and so I have a lot of the original tapes and the old CDs and that. And it would be within the first minute that he would say, we don't like lawyers, and they kind of find themselves together and they sit off in the corner. Yeah. Now I knew he was talking about you, so when I go back and listen to those, I'll put your picture. Yeah, talking about. When we both found Dan, we had a lot more hair. Your hair was red. You had a mustache, so we looked different. One of the things that we talked about in your introduction, and I think you and your team, but specifically you, are the best at, is kind of looking to outside industries and bringing marketing from outside industries into the legal profession. Do you want to talk a little bit about what inspired you to do that, and some of the examples that we could bring to the table?
The inspiration, of course, was Dan. Hey, Dan, and the way I put it, Nick, is Dan gave me permission to think this way, because heaven forbid any lawyer in law school be taught that it's okay to look and see how the bagel guy is getting people in his store or the car salesman is getting people there. I mean, that would be lowering ourselves. That's their view, right? Lowering ourselves to that. And so, I mean, I can tell you a specific example. For example, print ads. So I collect these books of old 1960s, 70s, the great heyday of advertising. And there's a whole series, the whole Avis.
We Try Harder.
We Try Harder. And they had an ad that was something like, if you always get your second class car and your cigarette trays are filled with ashes and your cars are never clean, what would you say? You would say, we try harder. And so I as soon as I saw that, I took a picture of it, I sent it to my designer, Kia Arian, and I said, here's what I want to say is, if you have less than a 10 on Avo, which is one of the lawyer rating sites, if you never get big verdicts, if you don't actually try cases, it was really in their face. What would you say? And I said, we care for you, which is what a tagline of half the lawyers, right? They say, we care for you. Like, that's a selling point. So little things like that. We've gone out and done. We now do teleseminars for potential clients. We created. There's a lot of small cases that call us, and we're not set up. We don't want the small cases. So we said, well, why don't we just run a seminar and create a book? So I created a book. I'll show it to you. This is totally anti what most lawyers are doing. How to settle your own case without a lawyer. And our whole positioning from day one has been, if you've been in an accident, you may not need a lawyer, but before you talk to the adjuster or hire a lawyer or sign any forms, the top 3 things are going to happen, right? Just give us a call and get our info. And so we even now run seminars and webinars on this, putting our leads that we don't really want. Although every once in a while, Nick, out of one of the seminars, turns out the case wasn't a small case; it was a bigger case. So they come to us. We also refer people out, and we can get referral fees for that stuff. So that would just be an example of the principle of just going against what everybody else in your profession thinks. So that'd be like a carpet cleaner saying, you really could. I'm going to show you how to clean your carpet yourself, so you never have to call me.
Okay.
Awesome. So if somebody does that, and your your instruction works, probably weren't going to hire you anyway, but now you've at least created a fan. So with this, how to settle your case, we create fans, we get reviews, and that's real money for us. That's real currency, getting online reviews at this point. And if they or someone in their circle of 50 needs somebody later, who are they going to talk to first? That's what we want. And that's what magnetic marketing is all about. This, I think it's all about getting them to reach out to you first. So Dan talks about unique selling proposition. Why would you hire me? I took it a little bit differently. We want to be the ones to answer the question, why would you call us first? Why would you not at least check us out? Because once I talk to you, Nick, now I've captured name, info, and stuff, and I've got this whole stream of stuff I'm going to send you, starting from my shock and awe box. So lots of different ways to think about this. We always have our eyes open, and we always ask in my industry, in my practice, why are we doing it this way? Oh, well, that's because everybody else is doing it. Well, then that's wrong. Okay. Right. That's like a reason to change. Little processes, obtaining medical records is a way we've done it for 33 years. And I'm like, tell me again why we do it exactly this way. Oh, everybody does it this way. Okay. Maybe there's a different way. That's a kind of creative thinking Dan talks about, and he's got a seminar at GKC as a product on this, an excellent seminar from probably 13 years ago now.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, creative thinking for entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Anyway, I rant. You have to keep me on track.
No. I like your rants. I'll ask a long question so you can take a sip of water. But so one of the things that we talk about internally and we talk about is, and I'm sure you have that, so the average person looking for a case calls how many different lawyers? Is there a stat on that? Do you know?
Well, I don't know the stat, but here's what we believe to happen. They're not calling anybody. They're going on the internet and they're looking at 10 of them. Okay. So what I tell lawyers is, you're being comparison shopped in 28 minutes by someone who's visiting. See, in the old days, I'd have to call up, make an appointment, come in, have a consult. Then call them. Doesn't happen anymore. They go on websites and they're going review sites.
Right.
So to interject the point I think you would like to make is, so now we have to, and it's no different. Any business, right? You're selling mufflers. Someone's calling around and find out what the cheapest muffler is. So we have to figure out what will be a way to get that consumer to stop.
Right.
Pay attention for a moment.
Right.
Oh, interesting. A lot of things we could talk about, websites and stuff like that. But when you go to our site and the sites of guys and gals who follow me, it basically you'll see messages that say, we know you're here for one of three reasons. And we've got information for you that's going to help you whether or not you choose us or not. And so that's a philosophical thing, is business owners get all tied up and, I don't want to give away my information, and I don't want to tell them too much. And I don't want to tell them how to clean the carpets, right? I don't want to tell them how to settle cases. Why would I do that? Well, that's crazy, because one way to attract people to you is to be very open and honest about what it is you have to offer. And if you're marketing, I always like this, and it comes from Dan, so I take no credit. Look, I didn't invent anything. That's a point. I have tweaked some stuff for the lawyer market. Maybe come up with some things that maybe Dan hadn't come up with yet. But a question that business owners can ask themselves is my marketing, my advertising, is it doing anything at all to help the consumer in and of itself? Right. Ours does. 100%. Ours does. And it's an attitudinal thing. It's a philosophy of life thing, Nick, that for me at least has been a major magnetic attractor. And so you have a choice. You can advertise like a commodity, right? I have mufflers and they're cheaper than Nick's mufflers. Okay, I'm still a muffler. Or you can create marketing that's actually going to help move the ball, whether or not they come and hire you or buy from you. It's an awesome position to take. It's rarefied air because so few actually get this and are willing to do it. I guarantee you, if you're authentic about it, it cannot help but change your business.
You know, I agree. And actually, Dan and I were just talking about that with one of the guests on the Day with Dan, which was earlier, late last week. And he said, with your marketing and your advertising, you're building a relationship with the person. And even if they don't choose to buy from you now or ever, you want the advertising to at least be of value to them. So they say, it was worth me investing my time. I've learned something. So the next time your advertising comes, or the next time they have a problem that maybe you could solve, they have this exchange with you, right? Because people are if you're fair with them and you provide value with them, they're at least going to give you a second look, or they're at least going to go to you first if they have a problem. Maybe you didn't solve it the first time, but the second or third time you have a problem, they're going to be able to. And I like what you said, Ben, about the fact that we want to partake information on them. So even if they don't choose us, they at least walk away with knowing more than they knew when they started with us.
100%. And then if you're really good at it, you do what we and many GKIC practitioners do, is you get them on some sort of a newsletter list.
Right,
and your newsletter is interesting. I think you guys get mine up in Chicago, and it's the whole inside is Ben philosophy. Again, inside the mind of the renegade lawyer. Another idea borrowed from Dan. But it has nothing to do with the law. So it's deep philosophy about raising kids and standing for what's right and all sorts of stuff. And the objection to this will be, that sounds like a lot of work. And okay, it is once. I mean, you create it once, you then just print it later. And my answer is, it is, but the alternative isn't pretty. The alternative is I continue to do what got me here today. And if that's great for you, awesome. But for many people, the reason they're watching this webinar or paying any attention to Dan and to GKIC is because they want to get to another level.
Sure.
So I think there's many in the GKIC world, and I have many friends in the GKIC world who just have taken this very seriously, really become masters of the art of direct response marketing. And I think everyone I've ever met started with magnetic marketing product, by the way.
Right.
One of the early versions of it.
It's interesting that you say that, and one of the things that we always try to quantify with people, especially when we know that their lineage came from magnetic marketing, is just on a pure capitalist standpoint, how much would you say magnetic marketing is made for you
I think I thought about that because I knew you were going to ask that. Easily a couple of $1 million. I mean, I run two really good businesses now. I'm a filled up guy. I'm very blessed that I have an interesting, rich life. I run into a lot of interesting people. I solve interesting problems. I create interesting problems too, I'm sure. And I don't think that I would have been good, would have been successful. Never would have had great legal marketing, which is the information marketing thing, because I wouldn't even have known that such a thing was allowed, right? I would have waited for someone to invite me. And even great legal marketing, the info business, is just taking magnetic marketing principles to attract lawyers to that venture, using all of the same things that we're talking about on this call, and then teaching them how to differentiate. And the coolest thing today, Nick, is we have lots and lots and lots of deep, rich testimonials about how we've actually changed people's lives. We have changed the trajectory of people's lives. So I always tell Dan, I remind him, look, you have huge influence over lawyers. He knows it, but it's a cool place to be, to think that you're doing something. We're changing little by little the way people view lawyers. Because if you're not a lawyer and you're on this thing, you're probably thinking, when you came to the call, lawyers,
Right.
Yeah. But we're changing that around the world because we have members around the world.
Well, if they have that thought, they didn't know you. Now they know you. Let's take some questions because I want this to be a dynamic, and we're getting some questions in the chat. Just a real quick shout out. Richard, is it Shankar? Says hi to you. He says he's going to be with you in Arlington next month. You wanted to say hi?
Yeah, yeah.
Francis Tomes, and if I get last names wrong, please forgive me. My wife was teasing me. She watched Day with Dan. She said you got about half the names right, half of them wrong. So I don't mean any disrespect, but they had a great question. How do you get the reviews for clients who don't hire you if you have them, if you get them the book or you have them the book that they teach them how to do it themselves? So how do you capitalize on reviews from that?
Well, so this is good for any business.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, because everybody struggles with online reviews.
Well, they shouldn't. They shouldn't, because the deep, dark secret is you have to ask. Okay. And so there's all these software things, and we even Great Legal Marketing has software product that will help you get reviews. This is amazing, Nick. So I have, if you and your team have helped somebody in some way and you've captured email address, it's so easy to send them an email that's templated that says, hey, Nick, it's great to talk. We talked about your potential. You had a question about a contract in Chicago. I found you a lawyer. Terrific. By the way, if you're so inclined, could you just go and leave and tell a little bit about your story here? We don't actually say, I think, leave a review. Could you leave a comment here? And if it's a Gmail address, we send them to Google. If it's not a Gmail address, we send them to avvo.com, which is the top lawyer rating site. And we say, and I tell them, Nick, what we want people to know about us is that we're easy to talk to and we give practical solutions to help people. And so, and that's what you do. So everybody I talk to just about, it takes me 40 seconds to do that email. I've got templated blocks to it. Boom. Not everybody does it, but we have, I think, the most lawyer reviews and lawyer endorsements on Avvo than anybody else in Virginia. My team knows how to do it. So my team, if they talk to someone and say, it was great to talk to you, and we give you a referral here, and Mr. Glass would just be so thrilled if you would just let people know that we helped you. You don't have to give identifiers. And so that's the simplest thing, is to make it a part of company culture that we ask people to do. When you have helped someone first, they'll do it. And they'll go and if you once you start getting good reviews, or what I call rich reviews, someone is not just saying, hey, Nick's a great lawyer, but they're telling the story a little bit. People will go and read that, and then they write rich reviews. The other thing we do is, so this is my little coffee mug, and we recently changed the little tagline on a coffee mug that says, I love it. URL, just read the reviews.com. Right. So now in the marketing, underneath Ben Glass Law, not we care for you, but just go read the reviews. So that review system for any business is powerful evangelism by your customers. And again, we just kind of thought about this a while. And nothing I said involved any technology except email. And that's how you do it. You have relationships with people. So even with people coming into a restaurant, I mean, you could do this. I would set up a URL that directs them directly to whatever review site you want them to go to.
Yelp, I think, Yelp or Google.
They're mentally obligating themselves to go do it. There's software that will do follow-ups. We have it. I don't use that. But anyway, that's all. Again, a long rant answer that this is relatively easy to do. We believe it's absolutely important now. I don't know whether it'll still be important in 5 years with, consumers are still going to need to be able to trust reviews, and there's some nicking at that trust factor now with the whole fake review stuff. But it's good for us, and a lot of people call us, will say, I called you because I spent the time. Remember, I visited 10 websites. I found Avvo or Google reviews, and I just read them.
I know you'd mentioned you have multi-steps follow-up sequence, and you have some samples. Can we go through, like, what's an example of how many steps in your follow-up sequence, and then what does that look like, or just maybe just high view?
I'll say a couple things. So the steps in a follow-up sequence, I don't know, because it's long. And
Right.
I just sat down with Colin Lynch about a month ago, one of my marketing guys. So I have a whole marketing team here. Don't let that intimidate people, because most people, this is just carving out an hour or so. And we rewrote, because long ago we had written many sequences in Infusionsoft, and now we look at them and go, we know a lot more. So anyway, I'll just show you some cool stuff. So this is our shock and awe box. It hasn't always looked this nice, but again, Kia Arian design. The inside is pretty cool.
Wow.
Our mission, and our mission is to help people make great decisions about their legal issues. The ladies made it. I won't rip this open because we use it to show stuff, but of course, when you've got crafty women in your office who know that you don't care anything about style, they do.
All right.
This was the very first. I mean, this is the latest edition of the very first book that we wrote, which is 5 Deadly Sins That Could Wreck Your Accident Case. Again, this was my dictation of the conversation with you.
Okay.
It's now, I mean, it's really well formatted and links to videos and all of this stuff, with a nice bio on the back. Point being, if someone is just now been in an accident, we've got a product to give to them. They can download it. Folks can actually go on the Ben Glass Law site if you want to see it and download it. And if you're in Virginia, then we'll mail it to you. Or if it's a Virginia accident, we'll mail it to you.
So do you have multiple lawyers in your office? Does each person have okay?
Two lawyers. What was your question?
So you have it's you and 2 other lawyers. Does each lawyer have their own book?
No, it's so it's me and one associate lawyer, and he's got a book on criminal law stuff. So I don't do that. So he's got that. So now the one thing that I added to the world, so I didn't just swipe this from Dan. We wrote The Truth About Lawyer Advertising, and we made fun of most lawyer ads. So I had Kia just create out of whole cloth crazy, stupid advertising.
Right.
This whole book, I think we have a hearse. Dan used this in the newsletter. I think he thought this was real, but it's not. It's advertising on the side of a hearse. The whole book was designed, and we did get complaints about this. We don't care. To make fun of lawyer ads.
Okay.
Also inside, direct them to those sources of reputable lawyer review sites, lawyer rating sites, of which we score high on all of them. So I kind of gave people my methodology for finding a lawyer if I had to go out and find one. I already showed you the Accident Victim's Guide to Settling Your Case. You actually can settle your case, and many people do, and it's fine by us. Great. If you get it done, awesome. And excuse me, that goes contrary to a lot of lawyer advertising, which says, if you've been in an accident, call us right now because you're going to get ripped off by an insurance company. The reality is, at a certain level, there's not a lot a lawyer can do except take a fee.
Right.
And the client ends up worse off. And I think a lot of lawyers don't fairly explain that. And then we even have one, this is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but if you're not real happy with your lawyer, there's a guide to firing your lawyer in Virginia. And the answer to that really is that it's not usually a good idea to fire your lawyer. It's a better idea to go have a conversation with them.
Okay.
So once they, there's other things that go in the sequence. There's like a 3-step actual mailing sequence. There's an extended follow-up now, Infusionsoft emails that will incorporate different videos we've created over the years. Everyone who comes through our list, again, if they're in Virginia, gets added to our newsletter list. And we've got people who years after they contacted us and they didn't have a case that we wanted, now have another case, or they have a referral for us.
So this all started obviously through magnetic marketing, and those of you that don't have magnetic marketing, we urge you to make the investment. Just give us a call off to the side. You can click on the add to cart button. I believe the button is blue, or give us a call at 1-800-871-0147. And it really, the one thing that we want to say is, and you're an advanced marketer, but it started with you just taking action. And one thing and adding to it. So we have some folks on it that may be just kind of beginning or just trying to figure it out. And the first thing you did was create that widget, that conversation that you had with Nick Loise across the conference table that you just kind of had a conversation with them, and then you created what looks great now. And I think you even said in the beginning, it was just, you hit print on a printer. It was probably a dot matrix printer back then or a laser printer, and you put a staple on it and you sent it out. So you just took action. We got some more questions from folks. This is an interesting one because everybody says my business is different, right? And the premise of magnetic marketing is, you got to really set yourself apart. But attorneys are a cynical bunch. How do you get them to shift their mindset and look outside for outside marketing help?
So that's I'm trying to think who would ask that question.
Dan Nigan is the person.
I think so. So I'm not able to shift everyone's mind. I told you, if I get invited to a regular lawyer association marketing event, I would fail. And Dan has said he would fail.
Right.
So I attract their attention first, I think, by the badge of authenticity with which I live my life.
Okay.
And so people can see the success we've had, come to an event, see me live, see me on something like this. I think for most of the lawyers I attract, they have this sense inside their head that there is something really out there. They just haven't discovered it yet. It's honestly very hard to take someone who is, typically tend to be older lawyers, dead set in their view that lawyers should actually be poor in order to serve everybody. I mean, there are people that do that, and I'm never going to change their mind. And that's okay. I think once you get into a room then with lawyers at one of our big events or one of our small events, and you say, oh, look at that. There's other people that are successful, that are using this stuff, that are enthusiastic about entrepreneurism and entrepreneurship, then it gets turned on. And then once they use something that we teach and it works for them, now the fire gets turned on. And the first thing to do is to hire a marketing assistant, actually. So I don't know, that's, we've been able to convert people, but honestly, there's people that we can't convert. They'll never, and that's fine. Again, you decide how you want to live your life, but if you want to live a life that's a little bit less stressful than most lawyers do, then just come listen to what we have to say.
So, and where they would find you is at greatlegalmarketing.com, correct?
Right. That's that business site, right?
And so that's for the information side of the business. And let's talk a little bit about that. How far into the magnetic marketing journey and kind of positioning your practice and kind of setting it up to live the lifestyle you want, did you say, you know what? I know you mentioned earlier that, you kind of got with Dan and Bill and they said, you should think about taking this to other lawyers. How long ago was that you did that?
Well, I'm trying to do math here. So it was about, well, I know Great Legal Marketing will have its 12th birthday in February of 2008. Okay. So that's that. And we started with a newsletter every other month and a CD on the other months. And that was probably 10 years, probably about 8 years after I started this practice, which at that time was a solo practice, one assistant. And we only worked 4.5 days because we didn't have work to do. And that was after working at another firm for 12 years that really was good lawyers, but very, very traditional in the way they got cases. And so the slowest thing was believing that I had enough stuff to say that would be of value to people. And of course, when I talked to Dan and Bill about that, they said, yeah, because they had been seeing my stuff and I'd been coming to conferences and showing to GKIC conferences and showing my stuff. Dan, I don't know if he thought it was actually doable in the lawyer market because of his view of his experience with most lawyers. So that's how we did it. I mean, I would say to people, if you're running a business and you find that magnetic marketing works for you and it changes your life, that you just don't wait to be invited to the party, that the world is looking for leaders. And even if you're in a market where it seems like there's a lot of marketing gurus and stuff, um, there's a lot more people who aren't successful yet who could become successful, and you could change the trajectory of their lives if you will put yourself out there. It's not running an information marketing business isn't for everybody. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts,
Right.
a lot of content to produce for us. Every month, I'm always behind, but I enjoy doing it. So that's the driver at the end of the day.
Got you. Question real quick from Mark Tully. And he said, what is the most important piece of marketing content that you use?
Today, the most important piece of marketing content I use, I think, is the insert to my monthly newsletter.
Interesting.
Because so we have lots of pieces, ads, all that sort of stuff, but that just gets you into the herd.
Right.
Dan says, and I just reading a chapter of Tim Ferriss's, that big thick book.
All the Tools of Titans.
Yeah, Tools of Titans. So there's a section there about 1,000 fans.
Right.
And the rule of 1,000 fans. So, and Dan and Bill said, if you had 1,000 people who knew you, loved you, evangelized for you, you don't need to do any advertising at all anymore. And that's so true. And so my new monthly law firm newsletter, we do also in Great Legal Marketing, but the free monthly law firm newsletter is 6 pages. And the inside 2 pages are Inside the Mind of the Renegade Lawyer, where I talk about things like raising kids, about proper behavior towards referees and umpires,
right?
About America, and where you are today is a product of the decisions you made yesterday, and where you'll be tomorrow is a product of the decisions you make from now until tomorrow, which some people don't like. All right, but a lot of people. I mean, I know this. This is so cool. Last week at my church, Nick, 3 people came up to me and said, "Oh, it arrived." My wife got it. I haven't read it yet, but it arrived. And they're talking about my newsletter. And they put it up on their refrigerators, and they put it up, and they send it to their kids. And the important thing is the parts I'm writing about have nothing to do with being a personal injury lawyer.
Right.
They have to do with being an inspirational leader in the community. And what I would say to business owners is there's a vacancy in your community right now for inspirational people, right? My pastor 2 Sundays ago said the greatest sermon that people will hear will likely not come from a good preacher at a pulpit. It'll come from you and the way you live your life.
Yep.
So the message I would say is, to answer the gentleman's question, is the most important marketing pieces or the written pieces where I can express my values. I can try to show you why my values are important and worthwhile, not by calling you a name if you disagree. Like, if you disagree with me, I'm not going to call you whatever. I'm just going to say that's your life, and you're free to live your life. And it's counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive because you think I clean carpets better, or we sell cars cheaper, and that's a game that just most people play, and it's an expensive game to play because most people are in that space. If you get into the community leadership space, the thought leader space, everybody can do this. The people that my wife and I follow, we've got 9 kids. A couple of them have special needs, and so we've searched out gurus around the country. Buy books and CDs. It's the same deal. But the people that we end up following are people we believe are authentic to the core, and they've got good strategies, and we implement them and they work. But we don't believe they're up spouting BS just to make money. That's again a long rant, but I think it's true. I think it's true. And one thing I would invite people to do is just, if you go to the benglasslaw.com website, and we've created a new video by our friends at Chris Video in Atlanta, and they're awesome. They're, I think, lawyer specific. But there's a 3.5-minute little video about me, the core values, my family, and stuff. If you can do something like that in your business, and everybody can, everybody has a story, Nick. Everybody has things that they're passionate about. And unless you're a criminal, so if you're BSing people over here, with we're the best at this, but you're doing tax fraud over here and you're going to jail, then magnetic marketing really isn't for you, right?
Right.
But there's this leadership position that's vacant in the country. Our friend Dave Phelps is excellent at this.
Yeah.
He's going to be speaking at our event. He's just a guy that through and through his core, he's congruent. What he writes about is what he is. There are certain Christian music artists that we follow. What they sing we know is what they are because we know people. There are others, what they sing ain't what they are. And so, anyway, that has nothing to do with marketing, but I think it has everything to do with marketing.
I think it does too, especially in the space that you're in. But now, did you start out with that? Did you start out with personal philosophy? And you and I are both fans of Ayn Rand, and we talked a lot about it in our podcast together, which I highly recommend anybody goes. It was one of my favorite podcasts to do. It's at GKIC Small Business Marketing Hour. But did you start out with kind of your personal philosophies in that, or how long did it take for you to evolve into that too? Because that's you're really putting yourself out there, kind of opening the proverbial kimono, for lack of a better terminology, which is difficult.
You are. And so again, as Dan gave me permission to market this way, as though I needed permission, I just want to give people permission to do that. And so it does require some thought. So you can't just start reading something and spout it. You have to understand. I think you have to have a well-crafted, for you, core philosophy. Ayn Rand wrote, everyone needs philosophy. Every man actually has philosophy. It's just they haven't examined it. And so, and I teach my kids this. Every problem can be solved. What's the principle at issue here? Okay, this is how you do the argument. We could go hours on this, but
maybe we'll do it. I love this.
Yeah, my son who's in college, he says, "Well, I learned about this guy Socrates. He argued by asking questions." And he thought, "Oh my God, that's my dad." True. It's a space that's not well filled. We have pastors, we have ministers. I know one politician in he's in West Virginia, it's a friend of mine, who I think is authentic, core, has principles, and doesn't sway with the wind, honestly. And he's very frustrated with the process.
Sure.
So there's this space there. And every once in a while you'll come across somebody in a local newspaper, some on TV, who are genuinely true and true core. So no, I wasn't always there. I'm I guess getting more even in my old age now. I'm getting more bold about it because nobody else is doing it, and it's not being taught in the schools, and but it's a magnetic attractor. I'll tell you that. It's huge.
We get a ton of questions, so I know you're short on time, and so I want to be justice. So there's some questions that really are magnetic marketing focused, and there's some folks asking questions about the product. If you want to learn more about the product, or maybe you have the product and want to talk about the upgrade, give us a call at 1-800-871-0147. Once again, 800-871-0147. You also, Ben has a bonus for everybody that's buying today. I'm going to hold it up. Ben, you can talk a little bit about that. So if you buy during this segment, buy today, just by clicking on the add to cart button, which is blue, you get this, which is, I'll read the title, 10-Step Program for Marketing Success, which is a Ben Glass special edition report. If you go to his event, he'll sign it for you, I'm sure, right? He'll sign it for you. But we got two questions, and I'm going to play off of each of them. One's from Jason and one's from Chris. Chris says hi, and it's really about magnetic marketing, and it's about so one is about the first campaign that you ran, and the second thing is really knowing what you know now with magnetic marketing, and I think maybe Chris is thinking about buying magnetic marketing. What tweaks would you make? What small tweaks would you make now that would have made the greatest positive impact that if you could do it all over? It's a long question, but
so the first thing was your consumer guide to car accidents in Virginia. So if you've been in an accident, again, before you talk to the adjuster, hire an attorney, or sign any forms, just read our thing. And so, I mean, honestly, the only real substantive tweaks that have been made over the years is that now we have a lot of informational videos out there, and so there's references to those, and we could do a whole seminar on that. But basically, Chris, go out and make 20 videos. The videos answering the 10 most frequently asked questions for your business. and the video is asking the 10 questions they should ask, but they don't even know enough to ask. You can then incorporate that in your widget and or reference back and forth. So that's what we've gotten better at. And we have our own video studio, so it's relatively easy for that for us to do that. The thing that holds people back is the curse of being perfect. And so just do it, give it to your friends, give it to your clients and customers. They'll correct it for you. They'll proofread it for you. They will tell you what else they would like to have seen in it. And then you go to version 2. And in today's world, it's not expensive to go to second edition, right? So that's what I would say to that is keep it simple. Do it. Just do something first. Develop a follow-up, one step, a follow-up. So you have a total of maybe 3 mailings, depending on your business. If you have the technology, if you're using something like Infusionsoft, Salesforce, and I don't know Salesforce, but I know Infusionsoft very well. It's relatively easy to create campaigns. And just always think of what does this look like? This is important. What does this look like to your customer? What is this whole experience? Buying a car, getting braces, having cosmetic plastic surgery. What does this really look and feel like to the consumer? What are they going through? If you understand that, and you can only understand that by talking to your customers, that's the voice that you want to write this in, not in lawyerese, not in medicalese, not in, God forbid, financial advice ease, right? And those are like 3 professional areas that tend to have difficulty with this because they want to talk about rate of return or things that real human beings aren't actually understanding.
Right. It's interesting because we all want to go into jargon, and you gave the example of the young leasing person that, is going into leasing. And you could just watch people fall into that jargon. And if you would disengage from the pitch or just watch the person's face, you can see their eyes kind of glaze over as we go into that jargon. And that's why I want to go back to that first point that you talked about. Your first step through magnetic marketing was creating that conversation with that person. It was just a personal conversation. And, and I know you and how authentic you are. And, as I said, if I ever needed a lawyer, you would be the first person that I would reach out to. And I don't say that just because we're on the teleseminar together, because I know you. It's because I know you, and I have watched how you carry yourself and your renegade millionaire philosophy. So yeah. I think. Go ahead.
Two quick things. I know I've got time, but I know you're probably running out of time. The tweak I think that has been made is, again, being less jargony in the language.
Okay.
More maybe confrontational with what else they're looking at out there in the marketplace. And the bonus, the 2 reasons to sign up and get magnetic marketing today. The bonus is one of the primary lead generation pieces for Great Legal Marketing, so you can see how we do it. But also, it's 10 marketing essentials. It's written for lawyers, but if you have a brain, and everybody here has a brain, I think you'll be able to see how to take what I talk about. It's a pretty thick piece, actually, and convert it to your business. And so I think there's twofold value, at least in today's bonus. The product, I have no idea even what you're charging for it now, but it's if you'll do something besides leave it wrapped up in the shrink wrap and study it and carve out some time to think deeply about what it is we're actually doing here, this will change you in any industry. And I've met many people in GKC from almost every imaginable business who have found a way to use the principles of magnetic marketing, if not just template out some of the examples that are in there straight out.
It's interesting that you say that. You, like I, kind of are products of the product, right? So we found the product. We chose to take action. I was you found them through Nightingale Conant. I was actually in 1994. I heard Dan Kennedy speak at a Peter Lowe's success event. I was running a sales team on the West Coast, and well, this makes perfect sense. Let's buy it. And we took action in it. And it wasn't pretty, right? So let me show the product. The product you get today, this is this is examples of the product is much prettier than the product that Ben and I first got. Because what we got, and I have mine on my shelf in my office at home with the cassettes in it, and you couldn't even see the ad. So I'm going to walk through the product and we'll answer some more questions. But so you get the foundational course, right? So everybody gets the foundational course, the teachings, and it's kind of done in a workbook format. So when Ben and I got it, it was Dan pontificating, telling you the why. Now we take you through the entire product, and you at the end have your avatar, have your USP, have all the things you need. The program, right? We talk a lot about what we call the toolkit. So you just plug this into your computer, and it has 144 ads on it that you could tweak. Like you said, just modify them. These are copyrights, so you can legally swipe and deploy. It's ironic that we're talking to a lawyer, but we're talking about legally swiping and deploying them. So that's there. Magnetic internet marketing, right? So we have a question about media, but nowadays you have to be on Facebook, you have to be on LinkedIn, you have to know the difference between a landing page as well as a website. We talk about all that stuff. We talk about Google AdWords. So that's magnetic internet marketing. And what I think is the piece de resistance, our team worked phenomenal on it. It's what's called the Magnetic Marketing Vault, right? And this is the samples. This is the stuff that gets Ben and I excited, right? And it's just ads that were vetted by our customers. There's a lot of Ben's ads in here. Some of Bill Glazer's ads are in here. Ads that have worked. So it's hundreds of ads by members. So chiropractors, plastic surgeons, lawyers. If you sell B2B, it's all there for you. So it's the ads that you could use. And to me, that's gold, right? So any good, you talked about you're a student of old ads. So now I know what thank you. I wrote it down because I know what thank you gift to get you. So you're going to have something coming from me, because there's a website that I found out there that sell the best ads in a bound book from like the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. And I find solace in having really, really, really good swipe files. And I think you do too, of having really good ads. But, if you look at your local paper, or you look at your local magazine, or just direct mail pieces you get, you don't know if they're successful. Right? So you could get an ad, but you don't know what the success is. Well, with the Vault, you see that those ads are successful because we ask people to give us what's the results, what's the return on investment. Now, in fairness to the people, we don't include that, but we didn't put them in the Vault if they weren't successful. So that's what you get today. You asked, the pricing. The pricing is probably similar to what you and I paid for it. It's $497. I think I paid in 1994 $397. Right. So but you get a lot more and it's prettier. Or two payments, so we can break down the payments. Give us a call, 1-800-871-0147. If you got to talk to one of our operators or our salespeople, they could talk you through. If you have a special situation, we can take care of it. Or just click on the button. So Ben, one of the questions that we're getting, and I lost who it was from, but it was an interesting question, is what type of media are you using nowadays?
Print. I mean, what kind of media? So we do a lot of mailing. I showed you real books, right?
Right.
I mean, you can get them digitally, but real books. The internet is big, obviously, and we're huge proponents of the YouTube, the ability to create informational videos that drive people to raise their hand. So I don't know, what other kind of media is there? I'm not on TV, I'm not on radio, but I have this heard. So in the Ben Glass law business, we have this core tribe of people, not only people we've represented, but people in the community who see us as respected community leaders first, and as good lawyers as well. And so we mail a lot of stuff, and one of the things that people will want to do, right, is kind of be cheap about this and depend too much on Facebook and LinkedIn and some of these other things. They all have their place. But having a foundation, so we in our seminars would draw a triangle, and at the base of the foundation is some hard information product.
Something tangible.
That thing, it's easy to create CDs. You showed a little a flash drive thing as well. Most cars, don't listen to people tell you that no cars have CD players. It's not true anymore. So we use all the media that we can, and we'll take one thing and put it into different media. Again, so much easier today in 2017 than it was when I started. We actually created even cassette tapes when I started. So there's that. I mean, I think the other thing people need to know, and I hope that they see this, is that I get asked, Nick, to promote a lot of stuff, and I don't. I mean, unless I truly believe in not just the product but the people. So we're talking about our event that's coming up in October. We have a lot of people that want to come speak on our stage, be vendors. Unless I know them or know someone who knows them and know that at their core they are helpful, honest, have integrity, all that stuff, they don't come. They are not allowed to come to our thing. So I want people to know that I wouldn't be here spending over an hour on an afternoon talking, except for my relationship with you guys and with Dan, and for everything I've gotten derived from magnetic marketing. But of course, I own everything. It's really awesome to be here, and I'm thankful for it. But I wouldn't be here if I didn't truly believe that this stuff actually does work. And the pricing is amazing, because I was thinking it was like actually 4 times what you just said.
I keep on wanting to raise the price. They won't let me here. They won't. And with all these bonuses we have thrown in, I think it's priced too low. But then we wanted. I believe, and Ben, you would probably agree with me. And I mean this sincerely, because I've launched 2 separate businesses on the backbones of this. One selling to physicians, right? So to medical practices. We had a medical practice consulting firm. Long form sales letter, swipe and deployed from the vault of the original magnetic marketing that I own, or the second version. I actually own 4 versions of it, and I think there's a total of 7. So I've got 3 others. Yeah. So since I work for GKC, I think I've gotten a couple for free.
Yeah.
But I believe, to me, everybody has a philosophy, right? You and I are both very strong believers in Ayn Rand, right? I have her books on my bookshelf. I made sure my son going to college read that, right? Yeah. He got in trouble in high school and got grounded. So for his punishment, he had to watch all 3 versions of Atlas Shrugged, right? So the 3, and then he had to write a paper for me. Then he was able to go out the next weekend. But I
reading the book, but
right, yeah, I should have done that. He would have been grounded longer. But I believe that this should be on every bookshelf of every small business person, every entrepreneur, every practitioner, every lawyer, physician, practice, anything out there. It should be there. That's why I'm okay with it being priced the way it is.
Yeah.
One last question, and there may be some more coming in, so I might try to sneak a couple more minutes with you, because as I said when I started out, I love speaking with you, because I got a full page of notes just from us chatting, and the podcast that you and I did was actually my favorite one that we've done. That was a lot of fun. I want to do a second version, because we got into more than just marketing. We started talking philosophy, which
often happens with me.
Yeah, that's the stuff that I like too. So somebody was asking me, and I think she's just starting out. I'm trying to find it because I kind of spun through it. So if I get your question incorrect, please put it back up there. They're saying, if you were starting out today over, what would you do? And if you didn't have a lot of money, what media source would you use to try to get your message out to people? I believe that was the question, and I'm trying to make sure that was the question.
No, and it's a great question. So what I would do is I would clearly identify the short answer is my client, who I want to see walk into the door, and the slightly longer answer is, what do I want my life to look like?
Okay.
What kind of business supports that? What kind of customer do I want walking in the door? You can't get any cheaper than printing stuff out on paper. I mean, and don't think that that's not good enough. You want to have something that your team can say, oh, hey, did you know Mary wrote the book on, or has a great piece on this, and it's just going to stand out. It's going to stand out because no one else is willing to take the time to do this. Very few people are willing to do it. And then I think the creation of informational videos is a good, inexpensive way. You don't have to have super duper quality, but the quality has to be decent. What I teach lawyers to do is create the frequently asked question, the should ask question videos, send that off to the Philippines to be transcribed by somebody. And now you have more paper, right? And you have blog, and you have internet website material. So really getting in front of a video camera and talking about what you know, not why someone should buy from you, what you know. How can I help the consumer, whatever it is you're selling? And then taking that material and repurposing it. That's the fastest way to get this. Have somebody interview. Have someone who doesn't know too much about your business interview. Do something like this: split screen video interview, relatively easy to do in 2017. Have someone who doesn't know anything. Just be curious and ask you questions. That's the kind of conversational tone your then product will have. So that's what I would do. And B is, managing a database somehow. I started out with something called My Mail List, which I could get at $19 at Staples. I used that for years until I asked Bill Glazer when he was just being introduced to Infusionsoft. So we're huge fans of Infusionsoft as well. But having some sort of database where you can segregate, you can accumulate and segregate your customer list. Most businesses have no clue. There was a restaurant here I wrote about a year ago. Open. I was so happy. The lady was door to door, come in. I went there. It was awesome. The food was awesome. I tried stupidly to give them marketing advice, right? They didn't listen. I predicted in 9 months the restaurant would be closed. Nick, in 9 months the restaurant was closed. It was very sad because it was good people there, good food, no collection of me when I walked in there, no offer to me, no suggestion that if I came back and brought a friend, I'd get a free dessert. Simple little things that are right out of the magnetic marketing book and manual and system. So, I don't want to, I'm really busy right now because we got a conference coming up in a month. But I love talking about this stuff to people who care and people who will actually do something. I don't like having my time wasted. But you just start. And if you go through this manual, you will see, I'm sure, very sophisticated examples, and you will see very simple examples. Dan's original Giorgio letters.
Yeah, we do that. Yeah.
That was really simple stuff. And so it doesn't have to be sophisticated, but it has to be purposeful. One of the things I'm really good at is helping you stop spending bad money on bad things. And don't listen to the people selling you the marketing stuff. So selling you pay-per-click ads, selling you whatever. They don't understand. I guarantee you, they don't understand this unless somehow they've come through the GKIC world. Listen to Dan, listen to GKIC, listen to what's in this material. And then if you're interested, it'll lead you to other more sophisticated manuals and programs that you all have. I give long answers to simple questions, but this is more.
I love it. And today's world, I believe, we're just looking at the iPhone, right? And movies have been shot on the iPhone 7 and iPhone 8, actual movies, motion. So you could get good video, but the important thing is invest in a tripod or invest in one of the things, get shaky cam, get a mic, mic yourself so the person can hear you. In your shock and awe box, and we talked, you did a real quick drive-by. We're big believers in all different types of media, right? So you want to get a CD, right? So the people that still have the CD, put that in there. The memory stick, right? Do you send at all different sources of media? So those that are readers, transcribing, you did that real quick.
I meant to bring it in. Yeah, we have I think it's a 2 CD, 1 DVD set.
Yeah,
that goes with it. We have a teddy bear. Yeah. Everybody gets a Benji bear, right?
Yeah, I love it.
And I was showing Johanna before it, so you'll appreciate it. This is my Christmas present from Dan one year, the shark. Get it? Right. He's so but yeah, so multimedia, and again, today in 2017, so much easier to do something once and have it repurposed for you,
right?
Relatively inexpensively. And you know what? If you don't have a video camera and a video studio, there's some kiddo taking video technology at the high school,
right,
high school, who will do this for you.
Right. I mean, nowadays Fiverr, Tasker. I mean, there's so many ways you do it. I know you got a major event, right? So you got to get back. You've been very gracious. I'm going to ping you after because I want to set up a second podcast. Once you get done in October, I want to talk more philosophy, more Ayn Rand. Thank you. Last question. What would you say to somebody on the fence of why they should get magnetic marketing?
Well, it's guaranteed for one. So if you get it and for some reason it's not everything that I've said it is, and you think I'm fibbing you about this, or you think that you're not the type of person who will just take any action, send it back, I'm sure Nick will refund your money.
Absolutely.
So that's number one. Number two is just the number of people I know, their personal stories. The people you've had on these types of broadcasts, the people I've met at GKIC events who never ever, quote, should have become successful based upon where they were born, who their parents were, how poor they might have been, how many times maybe they have failed businesses before this, who have become enormously successful. And even those that haven't become enormously successful have built businesses that they actually like. Because, unfortunately, so many entrepreneurs feel they're trapped inside their job that they have when they decided to form a business. That's true of a lot of lawyers. So I would say those two things. Look, the deal is guaranteed, but you cannot deny the story after story after story. And I really defy anyone to look at this stuff and say, this is hocus pocus or, it's fake. I mean, it's just not true. And this is different than late night TV ads that promise to reduce your belly fat or whatever. This does take some work. I mean, you got to do something with it. But over the years, the product, the magnetic marketing product, has been refined. I mean, I had to figure out a lot of stuff based on the first product. You have so many more examples now of how this has been used in different industries, different size businesses. So yeah, and honestly, God, if somebody, I will hate myself, but if you want to send me an email at ben@benglasslaw.com and ask me a specific question about magnetic marketing, like one question per email or something, I will try to answer that for you.
Wow, that's very kind. But you got to take action. You got to give us a call, 1-800-871-0147. You want this, you want magnetic marketing, magnetic internet marketing. It's all there for you. Click on the button now, the blue button that says add to cart or yes, I want it. It's only there if you take action. So we want to help you. We believe in this product. Ben and I are doing this because we believe in the product. So you need to give us a call, 1-800-871-0147. Ben, how are the puppies?
So we do foster puppying, and we have only one puppy this week. Okay. He's 9 years old. So we had at 7 this summer. Yeah, at one time. That was crazy. But our household was crazy. So, if you're ever in Northern Virginia, you want to reach out and say hello.
I definitely want to. Ben, good luck on your event. Thank you to you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you to Charlie. I know you got a great team there. Everybody's there. I know I'd love to see you at Info Summit, but you're coming right off your event. I don't know if we will, but you guys are there as my guests. Please.
I said I have to give up referee nights to do that, and I'm like Dan and his horses.
Yeah. It's good to have a philosophy that you won't bend. But thank you for being with us. Everybody, if you want Ben's wonderful bonus, you got to buy now. It's all here. It's a phenomenal report. I'm actually this is the copy that's for the office. I've got a copy that I read. His books are phenomenal. I read his books. They are the best marketing books aside from ours. Follow his stuff, but take action and put magnetic marketing in your cart today. Ben, thank you. Thanks for being a member. Most importantly, thanks for being a guiding source. You always challenge us. I appreciate that. But you are one of the most authentic men and the best guys in our group, in the entrepreneurship world out there. Thank you for all you do, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Say hi to everybody.
I will. Thanks, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.